Okay, hi. We're here. We're back. There really is no explanation as to what I'm doing. So I'm here because I just got some books in the mail, 2 packages of books, and I'm going to open them today because I can't wait any longer. And I've just finished the most recent book in a series that I've been reading that's published. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do till the next book comes out? How about I reread one of my favorite books and then continue to read all the other books by that author to find out if that author is my favorite author. Because why not? Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Alexandre Dumas. Alexandre Dumas wrote The Three Musketeers, one of my favorite books. I've read this book twice and I love it every time. And I want to reread it again, and I figured why not order some of his other books to see if he's the best author of all time. I have read The Count of Monte Cristo, but it was the abridged version, and I didn't even realize it was the abridged version until a couple weeks ago. So I went on Thrift Books and ordered a bunch of Dumas. So I'm gonna open them so we can take a look. I don't know what condition they're gonna be in because they're used books, and so I'm in suspense of what kind of condition they're in. Okay. So you might be wondering, I don't know if you can read that. Three Musketeers. Don't I already have a copy? Yes, I do. This is the Barnes & Noble Classics, which is a beautiful edition. But I think Three Musketeers is one of those books that I will forever accept and collect more editions of, just because the book makes me so happy. So this is the Penguin Classic edition. It is definitely used. I don't know if you can see the condition, the state that it's in, but I'm excited to have this edition of it. And then another Dumas book that I got that I had never heard of. I read the synopsis of this one and I picked this one up as well. This one is called The Black Tulip. It's much shorter of a book, so I'll be reading this one. Package numero 2. Okay, so we've got The Man in the Iron Mask, which is in pretty good condition, honestly. This one's pretty good. And then this one is in slightly rougher condition. This one is called 20 Years After. So little did I know when I read The Three Musketeers for the first time that it was technically the first book in a trilogy. Now, having done more research about that, turns out there's like a bunch of books he wrote in between, like The Three Musketeers and the third book, which is The Man in the Iron Mask. But I'm just gonna go for the three. The Three Musketeers, 20 Years After. It says on the back it's a sequel to The Three Musketeers. I can't imagine it's as good as the first one. I just can't. To be honest, I can't imagine this is good. But I figured I should give it a shot because I like to claim that Dumas is my favorite author. But I can't make that claim when I've read 2 Dumas books, and one of them was an abridged version. So, 20 Years After, and then The Man in the Iron Mask. And then I already owned from Barnes & Noble The Count of Monte Cristo, which is gigantic. And when I read it the first time, the abridged version, I liked it a lot. It's not up there for me as Three Musketeers was. So, maybe not. Maybe the non-abridged version will do it for me more than the abridged version. I don't know. We've got to do the research, right? So what I'm thinking is I'm going to read these books and then I think Dumas has written more than this. He has. But I think this is a good sampling, probably one of his more famous works. Mostly Three Musketeers and Count of Monte Cristo. Those are like the top Dumas books. But a quick Google search, and these are the ones that come up right away. So I think reading these will give me a good idea of whether or not I can claim that Dumas is my favorite author. Because I need to know. It's important research. So I'm gonna make my way through these. I think I'm gonna start with The Three Musketeers, because I know I love that one. We can start this whole adventure off strong and then continue on with the rest of the Dumas books that I bought. That's my reading plans for the next however long it takes me, is to go through these Dumas books that I have. That's a pretty good chunk of books right there. Is anyone else reading Dumas still? Like, am I the only person reading Dumas? The first time I read The Three Musketeers was in 2021, and since then, my obsession with that book has only grown exponentially. I guess I'll let you know how this adventure goes. That way I can officially determine if Dumas is my favorite author. But Three Musketeers, there's just something about it that gets me. It just gets me every time. Now I gotta get to that reading because I have a lot of pages and a lot of books to go to get through Dumas. So, see you later. Bye. So I have some baking I'm gonna do because we're obviously celebrating Mother's Day. This banana bread I made is not even for Mother's Day. I just have a ton of overripe bananas. So that's in the oven, and I'm gonna prep some cookie dough probably for Sunday. Today is Friday. So yeah, this kitchen is a mess though, so I'm also gonna have to do that today, but I'll read eventually. So before I clean up the kitchen of the banana bread I just made, I really wanted to open a package that I got yesterday, which is related to the Three Musketeers, and you'll see why. It's kind of not related, but is related. This I got from Etsy, and I'm really excited to see how they came out. So I got some coasters. Oh my gosh. Little thank you card. It looks like a library card. Does this give you a hint? It's a library card. They're coasters that look like books, okay? I'll start off with the one that's relevant. So I got the Three Musketeers. Look! It's a coaster. It has the Three Musketeers on it. And it has a spine. And then I also got some of my other favorite books. Look at how amazing that looks. I love the spines. Yeah, I love that. Look at the little Charlotte Bronte. That is so cool. That is so cool. But anyway, this is the relevant one. Three Musketeers. Because that's what I'm reading. Look, and then we can put them up on our just table when they're not in use. And it's a little library. That is so cool. That is so funny. I told you. I have a bit of an obsession with the Three Musketeers. Okay, so for these cookies, I have to brown the butter, and I suppose I can take this time to talk about the Three Musketeers. It is as good as I remember, and the plot is just so interesting and fun. I feel like if I was a woman back then, I would be simultaneously annoyed with men, and this is awesome because, at least gentlemen of the time, because there are gentlemen and then men who aren't considered gentlemen, but the Musketeers are definitely considered gentlemen. And what's super annoying is that not just Musketeers, but everyone in this book at least gets super offended, like at the drop of a hat. And not only do they get super offended, because there's a whole bunch of like social norms and things that you're supposed to do to show respect, or things that easily are disrespectful. Not only do they get offended really easily, but the default response is to duel with swords. And like, if someone dies, oh well, like people are dying all the time and no one cares. But on the other hand, these gentlemen love so passionately. So like when they have a woman they fall in love with, it's like, I will die for you. I will do anything for you. So D'Artagnan just met Constance, Madame Bonacieux, and he's like, this is love. This is what love is. Like, I've never felt this way about anybody. And he's just so instantly, completely, genuinely head over heels for her and will do anything for her. And Constance is swept away by it too, because her husband is a draper and not a gentleman and a coward. Well, D'Artagnan is this like young, handsome, he's not a musketeer yet, but young, handsome, brave, courageous, strong man. So she's pretty much swept off her feet by him. Constance is one of the queen's ladies, so she's by the queen's side all the time. The plot right now is basically the queen's reputation is being threatened by the cardinal. Somehow the cardinal found out about the queen and the Duke of Buckingham's relationship. There's nothing physical has actually happened between them. Barely even mentally. She is the queen, and she knows that she can't just have relations with the Duke of Buckingham, because that will put her life in danger, that'll put the Duke's life in danger, that puts a lot of things at risk. She knows she can't be with the Duke of Buckingham. But they met in secret like once or twice, and the cardinal is trying to expose that. So the queen trusts Constance to help her get out of this, and they need manpower. So who does she turn to? Obviously D'Artagnan. I promise this is the last thing I've ordered. At least for now. I make no promises in the future. I have another Three Musketeers related unboxing. I got a poster, and I'm bummed I'm gonna have to get a frame for it, but it's gonna need a frame. Hold on. Isn't that beautiful? The color is amazing. I'm so happy with that. Now that I've opened that, I can give you a reading update. I'm officially at part 2, so I'm a little bit over halfway, and it's hilarious, okay? So the last time I updated, it was about the queen's reputation, and then D'Artagnan had to get a letter to England to warn the Duke of Buckingham to like get the queen's diamonds back, because the cardinal's like, I know the queen is having a relationship with the Duke of Buckingham, and he tries to get the king to be aware of that. And he's like, well, sir, I think you should have a ball. The queen loves balls. You know how she loves balls. So throw her a ball in 2 weeks, but make sure you ask her to wear these diamonds, the diamonds that she's given to the Duke of Buckingham as a token of her love. So the queen starts freaking out. D'Artagnan is sent to England to give the Duke of Buckingham this letter to get the diamonds and bring them back. When they get there, what they find out is Milady has already been there, and Milady has, at a ball, she was dancing with the Duke of Buckingham and has taken 2 of the diamonds. So instead of 12, there's only 10. If the queen only shows up to the ball with 10 diamonds, then the cardinal's gonna be like, look, here, I have the other 2. This is proof of her thing with the Duke of Buckingham. On the way to England, D'Artagnan brings Aramis, Porthos, and Athos with them to like protect him, because they know the cardinal's gonna send his guards after him. And on the way, the friends get picked off, basically. At the first stop they make, Porthos gets into seemingly unrelated argument, and he's dueled and left behind because they're on a time crunch. The other friends just gotta keep moving. But at each stage, it's the cardinal's spies, men, whatever, to stop them. After this whole debacle, So in a turn of events, the queen gets her diamonds back. And D'Artagnan's like, well, I should probably go and see if my friends are still alive. And it's so funny how he goes and gets his friends back. And they're all still alive. They're all where he last saw them. So he saves the queen's reputation. He gets all three of his friends back. And everything seemingly goes back to normal. But then Constance is kidnapped again. And D'Artagnan wants to find her because he loves her. And while all of this is happening, the Musketeers are called to go on a campaign. They need to get equipment. They need to buy their equipment and their stuff because they have to go to war, basically. So they find their own ways to get their equipment because they never have any money. In this process, D'Artagnan is trying to get close to Milady because he believes she has something to do with Constance's disappearance. He starts having this relationship with Milady de Winter, who he believes is a cardinal spy, and who is a cardinal spy. We don't know who she is other than the fact that she's bad news. And D'Artagnan believes she has something to do with Constance's disappearance, kidnapping. And so he's like trying to get to her, basically. And in the process, ends up falling in love with her. And it's just like, dude, I thought you were trying to find Constance because she was the love of your life. But he quickly finds out that she is not some simple, sweet, fragile woman, and that there's a lot more to her. So that is where I've left off. I'm on part 2. I'm trying to get through this because I would like to finish it. I've been reading it for far too long at this point. I'm going to do some more reading and I'll check it back in with you later. Homemade English muffin with jam. A little thin. I think we should have made them thicker, but good. Okay. I have officially finished The Three Musketeers. It took far too long than it should have, considering I've already read this book. But I was just taking my time with it, and I really enjoyed it. And actually, rereading this has made me look more forward to the next book than I was originally, because this is such a standalone. Like, it doesn't need a sequel. It even has an epilogue at the end, which kind of wraps things up, so you don't need a sequel. So I am a little nervous. I don't see how, in what world, this sequel could be even as good as this one. That's what I'm here to find out. Because when you look up Dumas, you talk about the Three Musketeers and the Count of Monte Cristo and the Man in the Iron Mask. Nobody talks about 20 years after, so I can't imagine it's as good. But I'm here to find out and let you know. So it's such a good book, and the ending is sort of bittersweet because the epilogue is sort of really realistic. It's a dramatic ending. A couple people die, and at the end, D'Artagnan gets offered a lieutenant position in the Three Musketeers. And he's like, this is an amazing opportunity, but I don't deserve this. So he goes and offers it to each of his friends, Athos, Aramis, and Porthos. And all three of them turn it down. They're like, no, I got this, I got that, or no, you deserve it more than I do. So Athos does take the lieutenant position as a musketeer. And in the epilogue, it's like the next 20 years, Athos served under D'Artagnan's regiment, and then he eventually retires, owns land, and leaves and goes somewhere else. Eventually, Porthos leaves the Musketeers and gets married to his mistress, and eventually Athos leaves the Musketeers and pursues his calling in the church. So it's so sad because they eventually get broken up, but it's also like realistic. D'Artagnan's young and has his whole life ahead of him, has no ties to anywhere, so he gets this lieutenant position and pursues this career. It's all like really a realistic turn of events for them, but it's just so sad because you get so close to all of these characters so quickly, and then to think that they just go their separate ways eventually in life is sad, but super realistic, I think. So it's kind of like a bittersweet ending, which makes me excited to pick up the next one because something happens and they all get kind of brought back together. I have no idea what's going to happen. If you haven't read The Three Musketeers and are into classics, I highly suggest you try The Three Musketeers. It's actually funny. It's such good writing, and it's intense and dramatic. And that's that. That's that for this video. Now I've just got to move on to 20 years after. This is where we go into new territory, because I don't know what's going to happen in this one. That will be for another video. Thank you for watching. Read The Three Musketeers if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.